Hey everyone, it's Tracy Martirana here from Holistic Wellness with Tracy, and today I'm inviting you into my kitchen to learn how to make beeswax candles the easy way. I love burning candles. I like the warm, cozy glow. There's just no replacing it. However, candles are expensive, and sometimes I question the ingredients that companies use to make them. A while back, I decided, I could probably just make my own cheaper and I can have the confidence that I know what's in them. So I started Googling and YouTubing, searching for how to make beeswax candles. And I found several tutorials, but they all had me melting wax, like buying wax and melting it in either a glass container or a metal pitcher to melt it and then pour it into my candle holders. Everybody suggested that you buy a special container for melting your wax because cleaning up after it is almost impossible. So I did that. I bought this big Pyrex mixing cup here with the plans of using it to melt wax. But then the more I thought about it, I thought there must be an easier way. Why can't I just put the wax into my containers and melt it in the oven? Turns out you can. What do you need to make these candles? First of all, you need beeswax. I bought this bag of little pellets. They melt very nice. It makes it very easy. You can also buy a big block of beeswax that you can then grate up or chop up. It just adds a little extra work, a little more cleanup. This is easier. This is yellow beeswax. You can also find white beeswax. I think it's just a little more expensive, but it is available. And then you need containers. So I have here just a couple canning jars. These make great candle containers. And then I also have a couple, these were candles that I purchased and burned, and then I just cleaned out the glass jars to recycle them into new candles. I don't know if I'm going to do all of these today. I might just do a couple, but we will see. Next, you need wicks. These are 100% cotton wicks. They just have a slight waxy film over them, and then they're attached to these nice little metal bottoms to attach to the bottom of your jar. And then I use these little glue tabs to attach the wicks to the bottom of the jar. If you don't have these or you don't want to purchase these, but you do have a glue gun works just as well. Just put a little dab of glue on the bottom of the metal tab, put it down in the bottom of your container, and you're all set. Now the steps for this are pretty simple. I take a jar. So I think the other one I'll do this one. So I take my little jar, and then I take my wick, straighten it up as much as possible. Grab a little glue tab. Oops, that one didn't come off very well. And I attach it just to the bottom of my wick. And then it's got a little peel and stick layer that you take off. And then I just lower it down and put it right in the center of my container. And then it's ready for the wax. I'm doing this in a sheet tray just so that I don't end up spilling wax pellets all over my kitchen, although I probably still will. And then I just slowly put these in. Yep, see, look at that. I knew I would. That's why I use the sheet pan. I'm going to pause here for a second, keeping the wax nice and centered. I'm just pressing it down. Now this just saves me a little bit of extra work later. So there's a lot of space in between all these little pellets, a lot of air space. So as the wax melts in the oven and that fills up, the wax level is going to go down. So the more I can pack it in, it's just the less wax I'm going to have to add later. Pressing it in. Picking up some of my spilled pellets. And you can fill this right up to the brim because, like I said, it's going to melt down. And then the one thing I do like to add, which it's not necessary, but I find it helps the candles burn just a little bit nicer, is adding just a little bit of coconut oil. So I have a jar of coconut oil. I'm just going to grab a butter knife. And I don't really measure this at all. I know, surprise, surprise. I just put a couple little dollops on here and it will just melt down in. I would say all in all, there's probably a good cup and a half of beeswax and maybe just a tablespoon or two of coconut oil. So right now I'm just going to start with these two and get them into the oven. So let me move off all my extraneous ingredients and tools off of my tray, and I'm just going to pop this in the oven at 200 degrees. I'll let that melt for about 30 minutes or so, and then I'll come back and add more beeswax. It's been about 45 minutes that they've been in the oven. The center is still got some big chunks of unmelted wax, but that's okay. But you can see how the volume decreased quite a bit as it melted. So I'm just going to gently spoon in some more wax into all of them. Now I'm using a spoon because my pan is hot, so I don't really want to end up with a bunch of melted wax all over. I'm just trying to keep my wick sort of centered in the candles. And the trick here is definitely using the parchment paper. That is what will make cleanup much nicer. Clean up my mess just a little bit so I don't end up with a bunch of wax all over. And this isn't the last chance to straighten out the wick. This wax is going to continue to melt, and then we can straighten it out again when we pull them out the final time. So I'm just going to pop these back in the oven and let them continue melting. It's been a couple hours, so I'm removing the jars from the oven. As you can see, the wax is all nice and melty, which has allowed the wicks to just fall over to the side. I'm using chopsticks, or you could also use wooden skewers, really whatever you have handy, anything that you can lay across the tops of the jars to support the wicks standing in an upright position. It's going to take a few lined up in a couple different directions to hold them in place while the candles begin to cool. It is going to take a couple of hours for the wax to cool down enough where the wicks will be secure. Therefore, if I had more cooking to do, I wouldn't be doing this on top of my stove. I would set this up someplace out of the way so I can just leave it be for a couple of hours. If you want to add scent to your candles because you want them to smell like something other than just beeswax, you can add in essential oils after you take them out of the oven. So when you remove the candles from the oven and they're still very liquidy, that is when you would add in your essential oils, stir it in with a toothpick or a wooden skewer just to make sure that it is well distributed throughout the wax. I do give you a word of caution, a word of note, that it will require quite a bit of essential oil for you to notice it when your candle is burning. Beeswax does not hold on to scent as easily as paraffin wax does. So when you add, I don't know, say 20 drops to a candle this size, you probably won't really smell it when you're burning it. A candle this size is probably going to take 50, maybe even 70 drops of oil, depending on how strongly you want it to smell and how strong that scent is to begin with. Like, a peppermint scent is going to be stronger than, say, I don't know, like even an orange scent. So keep that in mind. I myself just like the slight scent of a beeswax candle. It just has a slight little bit of sweetness to it without being overpowering. And a lot of people don't even really notice the scent. Like you wouldn't walk into a room and think, oh, wow, you have a beeswax candle burning. But it does just add a nice little bit of sweetness to the air. For the most part, I don't bother scenting my candles, again, because it takes so much essential oil. And I want to make sure if I'm burning a candle with essential oil in it, that I'm using high quality essential oils. And that in itself instantly increases the amount of money that I'm spending to make a candle. I tend to just burn the beeswax candles by themselves and then use essential oils in my diffuser or use a simmer pot on my stove to make my house smell nice. I hope you will give these a try. I think you will really enjoy making your own beeswax candles. Again, my name is Tracy Martirana, and I use my knowledge of nutrition, herbs, Ayurveda, yoga, meditation to bring you information and inspiration so you can live a healthy, happy, and balanced life. If you would like to learn more about making beeswax jar candles, visit my blog post on the subject. I will put a link in the description box below. Please subscribe to my channel, like the post, watch some of my other videos, share them with your friends. Doing so lets YouTube know that people are interested in content like mine. Thank you very much and have a great day.